We honestly wish Noreen was our only child. My mother didn't whisper it. She raised her crystal champagne glass and announced it across a banquet table filled with 30 relatives. The dining room of the country club instantly went dead silent. The clinking of silverware stopped. Noreen sat directly across from me, a smug, calculated smirk spreading across her face. She smoothed down her designer dress, soaking in the admiration while wearing the solid gold bracelet I had bought for her 25th birthday. Nobody spoke up. Nobody defended me. My father simply raised his glass in agreement, nodding toward the rest of the family as if delivering an obvious truth. I didn't yell. I didn't cause a scene, overturn a chair, or shed a single tear. For years, I had been the family's invisible safety net, the one who quietly absorbed the insults while keeping everyone afloat. But hearing those words spoken aloud in front of everyone flipped a cold, permanent switch inside my chest. I calmly dabbed the corners of my mouth with my linen napkin, folded it neatly, and placed it next to my plate. Standing up slowly, I adjusted my jacket and smiled at my mother. "May your wish come true," I said evenly. Before walking toward the exit, I stopped by the banquet manager at the front desk. I paid strictly for my own meal, handed the master event invoice of $4,800 back to the manager, and pointed directly at my father's seat. "The host at table 1 will be covering the rest of the bill," I told him with a polite nod. I pushed through the heavy glass doors into the cool night air. 1 week later, their perfect life collapsed. I sat in my car in the quiet country club parking lot, letting the engine idle. For 5 years, I had been the silent, load-bearing pillar of the family. As a senior corporate operations manager, I earned a 6-figure salary, lived well below my means, and kept every financial fire at home extinguished before it could spark. When my father lost his consulting contracts, I secretly took over their $3,200 monthly mortgage. When my mother needed specialized dental surgery, my card paid the $6,000 clinic bill. The utilities, the property taxes, the family health insurance premiums, all auto-drafted quietly from my secondary checking account every single month. Then there was Noreen. My parents worshipped her as the glamorous entrepreneur, a social media lifestyle creator with 50,000 followers and zero real income. Her luxury apartment, her overseas trips, her designer handbags were all built on an elaborate illusion. My parents drained their retirement to fund her aesthetic, and whenever she maxed out her limits, she came running to me with tears and empty promises of repayment. I had loaned her over $40,000 across 3 years, money I never saw again. My parents mistook my silence for subservience and my generosity for an obligation. They genuinely believed their comfortable lifestyle was self-sustaining, forgetting who was actually holding the roof over their heads. They wanted Noreen to be their only child. It was time they found out what life actually cost with just her in it. The next morning, I woke up at 6, brewed a pot of black coffee, and opened my laptop at the kitchen island. There was no anger left in me, just the cool, clinical precision of an accountant closing an unprofitable account. It was time to untangle my life completely. First came the family home. I logged into the primary mortgage portal, deleted my linked checking account, and removed my name as an authorized payer. Next, I pulled up the city utility dashboard: electric, gas, high-speed fiber internet, and water. With a few methodical clicks, I transferred primary billing responsibility directly to my father's email and revoked the auto-pay authorizations that had cleared on the 1st of every month for 60 straight months. Then came the health insurance. I called the policy administrator and removed my parents from my premium group plan. If they wanted coverage, they could apply for state benefits or pay the $1,800 individual monthly premium themselves. Finally, I handled Noreen. 3 years ago, after she cried about an unexpected car repair, I had added her as an authorized user on my Platinum credit card with a strict understanding that it was for true emergencies only. Over time, those emergencies had turned into luxury spa days, designer sunglasses, and 5-star weekend brunches. I pulled up the banking app, permanently revoked her authorized status, reported the card lost to force an instant freeze, and shredded the physical backup in my desk drawer. By 9 in the morning, every financial pipeline feeding their illusion had been severed. My monthly expenses dropped by nearly $6,000 in less than 3 hours. I leaned back, took a slow sip of coffee, and waited for the reality check to arrive. The collapse happened faster than I anticipated. By Thursday morning, exactly 4 days after the dinner, the first domino fell. Noreen had organized a lavish champagne brunch at a trendy rooftop lounge in the city to celebrate hitting 60,000 followers. She had invited 8 of her creator friends, ordering bottomless mimosas, caviar blinis, and expensive pastries, making sure to post every angle to her social stories. When the 4-figure bill arrived, she casually handed the server my black platinum card, expecting it to glide through effortlessly, as it always did. 2 minutes later, the server returned, quietly informing her in front of all her guests that the card had been declined. Noreen scoffed, handed him her backup card, and that bounced too. Her frantic attempts to transfer emergency funds failed because her personal account held less than $200. Humiliated, she had to watch her followers awkwardly split the bill while shooting whispered glances in her direction. Her pristine image of effortless wealth shattered in an instant. At the exact same time across town, reality crashed through my parents' front door. My father opened the mailbox to find a final notice from the mortgage lender warning of immediate default penalties. An hour later, an automated alert popped up on his phone. The city power company was flagging past due balances, and the high-speed fiber internet abruptly disconnected mid-morning. For 5 years, they had lived inside a bubble of luxury, convinced that the comfort surrounding them was natural, earned, and permanent. They had never known what the mortgage cost, never tracked the utility deadlines, and never worried about medical copays because the invisible provider had always settled the balance. Now, the electricity was flickering, the debt was mounting, and their beloved only child had just maxed out every line of credit. My phone sat face down on my desk, vibrating almost continuously. By Friday afternoon, I had 27 missed calls, 14 text messages, and 6 urgent voicemails. The first voicemail from my mother at 2 in the afternoon began with her usual demanding authority. "We had an embarrassing issue with the bank and the power company today. Log into your portals, fix the auto draft error immediately, and call your father. He is furious." 2 hours later, the tone shifted from entitlement to frantic panic. "Where are you? Noreen was publicly humiliated at brunch because your card didn't go through. What did you do to her account? Call us back right now." I didn't answer a single call. Instead, I let them turn to their shining star to solve the crisis. When my father realized I wasn't responding, he sat Noreen down in their living room, laying out the stack of urgent payment notices on the coffee table. He expected his brilliant, wealthy, entrepreneur daughter to step in, write a quick check, and save the household just like I always had. Instead, the illusion shattered. When my parents asked her to cover the $3,200 mortgage and the $900 utility deficit, Noreen didn't step up. She exploded. She screamed that her brand was an investment, that her money was for networking, and that they were selfish for expecting her to bail them out. She accused them of ruining her credit and destroying her social standing by failing to keep the household solvent. For the first time in their lives, my parents saw their golden child without her curated filter, selfish, broke, and completely unwilling to sacrifice a single penny for them. The foundation they had built their pride on had collapsed under its own weight. On Saturday morning, the inevitable confrontation arrived. The building concierge called up to my apartment to inform me that my parents and Noreen were waiting in the lobby, demanding to see me. I took the elevator down, holding a thick manila folder in my hand. When the elevator doors opened, my mother rushed toward me, tears in her eyes, while my father stood stiffly with arms crossed. Noreen lingered behind them, glaring at her phone, still radiating hostility. "How could you do this to us?" my mother cried, her voice trembling. "The power was cut off, the bank is threatening default, and your sister was humiliated in front of her peers. We are your family. You need to transfer the money and fix this right now." I stood perfectly still, letting her finish without interruption. Then I opened the manila folder and handed my father the top document. "This is an itemized ledger of the past 5 years," I said calmly. "Every mortgage payment, every utility bill, every surgical copay, and every unreturned loan to Noreen. The total is $184,000. My father's hands shook as he scanned the numbers, his face turning pale. Underneath that, I continued, is a formal notice of financial disassociation. I have removed my name from every single account. If you contact my employer, show up at my building, or attempt to use my identity, my attorney will file an immediate restraining order. You can't do this to us, Noreen snapped. We're your parents and your sister. I looked directly at my mother, whose mouth hung open in shock. At the anniversary dinner, you raised a glass and told 30 people you wished Noreen was your only child, I said quietly. Your wish came true. Only children don't have siblings to pay their bills. I turned around and walked back toward the elevator without waiting for a reply. Behind me, the lobby remained dead silent, the heavy weight of reality finally settling on their shoulders. Over the next 6 months, the inevitable consequences played out. My parents couldn't maintain the lifestyle they had never actually paid for. They were forced to put the family home on the market, sell off most of their luxury furniture, and downsize to a modest 2-bedroom rental outside the city. The extended relatives who had cheered at the anniversary dinner whispered behind their backs about the sudden fall from grace. Noreen reacted exactly as I predicted. The moment the free funds dried up and my parents could no longer subsidize her lifestyle, she packed her bags and moved across the country to stay with an online acquaintance, cutting contact with my parents entirely. Their precious only child abandoned them the second they ceased to be useful. With my finances liberated from their endless demands, I purchased a modern townhouse overlooking the river. For the first time in my adult life, my paycheck went toward my own future, my own investments, and my own peace of mind. I don't hold bitterness anymore, and I don't look back. Some people only recognize the foundation beneath their feet once the entire house collapses around them. I gave my parents the exact family they wished for, and in doing so, I finally